everything was peaceful. It was beautiful. And then a few hours later, we woke up to the sound of what seemed to be the shower on, or maybe even a waterfall. And we were looking around like, where's that coming from? What's going on? Like, is there a leak or something like that? And then we realized and we saw it and we looked down and we saw there was a girl who was like crouched down almost on top of a suitcase, and we realized it was her. Yes, she was weeing on someone's suitcase.
Whoa.
Inside the dorm, and we weren't drunk or anything. We were half asleep, looking out of the corner of our eyes in disbelief, thinking like, oh no, oh no. Hello everybody and welcome back once again to the channel and to another British English conversation with a guy who I spoke with on the channel about 9 months ago, something similar, and it was just before he was about to go on a big trip around lots of different countries. So I thought, well, it's perfect to get together again, talk about where he went, and discuss the main topic of solo travel, hostels, and backpacking. So enough from me for now on. Regan, how are you?
Hi, Lewis. Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm good.
I'm all right. You see, we're matching. We're both wearing plain white t-shirts.
It's comfortable and it goes with everything.
It does the job, and well, great minds think alike. You've chosen this t-shirt, so have I. So it's like we're wearing uniform, and some like English teacher uniform.
Exactly.
But anyway, first of all, tell me, when did you come back from your travels?
I came back in June, the 23rd. I flew home from Singapore. So I've been home now for the whole of the summer. But luckily, British summer is nice and comfortable. So it's the best time to be at home.
And I heard that I think it's the hottest English summer on record. Of course, summer is long gone by now, but I think I read that, well, global warming, climate change is real. It's happening to the UK.
Yeah, I think the summer has been pretty nice. I don't think there's been too many rainy days during the summer. I've not experienced too many rainy days since being home. But it still feels weird. They say it's the hottest summer when I think everyone agrees during COVID that's the weather in 2020. I don't think it rained once.
Clay, the good old days, right?
Yeah.
You see, I was in Spain during the lockdown, and of course, I was in Seville, so it was absolutely boiling, it was scorching, it was roasting. But I must admit that I was a little bit jealous looking at my friends who were going to lots of beer gardens, they were going out and watching the football, and I was like, oh, I, I want to be there. I felt left out almost. So the next time there is a big football competition and a heat wave at the same time in England, I'm going to make sure that I'm there.
Next year. Oh, yeah, next year. World Cup.
Clay, are you optimistic about England's chances?
You never know what you're gonna get with England. It's just a heart attack team. You feel all excited, and then you never know what goes on.
And then they let us down.
Exactly.
Always. They disappoint us. I will never be an optimist when it comes to football. And of course, being a Leeds fan and being English, I'm used to disappointment. And that just makes you savor the success even more if it ever happens, at least speaking about England, because, I think we always, we crumble under pressure. When the pressure is high, we can't handle it. We can't hack it and we fall apart.
Mm. But you're a Leeds fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. So our clubs and our country just is one big recipe for stress.
So let's speak about something happier, something a bit more upbeat. And it's all related to travel. And of course, we're going to discuss some of the places that you visited, what your highlights were. But first, let's speak about the, the theme and the subject of hostels, backpacking, and solo travel. Because I've been backpacking before in Southeast Asia. It was amazing. I look back on it now and think, oh, what a time to be alive. But to be honest, if I have to go traveling again, I think I'd think twice about going back and staying in hostels. But I know you've just been in lots of different hostels over the last few months. So tell me, how do you feel about hostels in general?
See, I like hostels. I have three sisters who keep telling me they'll never stay in them. So it's all a matter of taste and what you're looking for from your trip. So I just want to go out and experience places, and the best way to save money and stay in multiple locations in a country is to stay in a hostel. So, and the social aspect of it is very good as well. So for me, it's enough. I just need somewhere to sleep, but the added bonus of meeting new people, having different events on, being able to travel around the country even on a small budget and experience the culture in the life it's all worth it. You might have a few dodgy experiences, and I know I'm a good person to share a hostel room with. I'm very clean. I don't snore, but of course it just everyone's experiences at the same hostel is different depending on who you meet. But that's out of my control. So you just have to enjoy it.
I mean, it's kind of potluck. You never know who you're gonna room with. You never know who's gonna be in the dorm with you because, of
Mm.
course, there are different levels of hostels, and there are some where you might just be sharing a room with three other people. There are others where it might be just five other people, and then there are some huge mega hostels where you might have 12 or 15 people in the same room, and this is a bit of a recipe for disaster. If you think about all of these people in such a small space with lots of bunk beds as well, people snoring, I imagine you just wouldn't sleep a wink. You wouldn't sleep at all. But I guess I'm just sounding old now.
I think for me, it's I can sleep through anything. Snoring doesn't matter. And also, when you're out all day doing activities, exploring, walking, you become so tired that once you hit the bed, you pass out. And so I try and keep myself awake. I don't take naps. If I have a nap, that's when the night is a bit more uncomfortable without any sleep.
Okay. So to try and manage it, the best thing to do is just make sure you are exhausted at the end of the day. Make sure that
Exactly.
you're knackered and then you can sleep like a baby.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I do have to tell a little bit of a funny, dodgy, scary story that happened to me when I was kind of living in a hostel in Australia. I say living because we were looking for an apartment and looking for a house to live in. So we had to stay in a hostel for a couple of weeks whilst we were working as well. So we weren't being the most sociable at that time, but we do the bare minimum of like, oh, hi, how are you? Good, good. Yeah, should we have a drink? Okay, perfect. But then doing our own thing. And there was one night where we wanted an early night. We needed to sleep in. So we went to bed. Nobody else was in the dorm. Everything was peaceful. It was beautiful. And then a few hours later, we woke up to the sound of what seemed to be the shower on, or maybe even a waterfall. And we were looking around like, where's that coming from? What's going on? Like, is there a leak? or something like that. And then we realized and we saw it and we looked down and we saw there was a girl who was like crouched down almost on top of a suitcase, and we realized it was her. Yes, she was weeing on someone's suitcase
Oh,
inside the dorm, and we weren't drunk or anything. We were half asleep, looking out of the corner of our eyes in disbelief, thinking like, oh no, oh no, how's the guy gonna react in the morning when he realizes that a girl's just pissed on his suitcase? We never saw what happened in the end. I think the next day we got out there as quickly as possible to avoid any confrontation. But this is just one random story of hostel life that has scarred me since then. So, given that you have such vast experience in staying in hostels and backpacking, have you ever experienced any similar strange situations, let's say?
I have faced the exact same situation that you faced, but without the
It's a thing.
suitcase part. Yeah, it's just alcohol. Alcohol in people's system. You never know what they're going to do. But I had the same thing in Sweden last year. I was in a room with just four of us. It was a tiny room, not much space to even breathe. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I had my eye mask on, so I couldn't see anything, but my hearing still worked to the same sound of the shower. But then I realized there's no shower in the room, and it's someone was weeing in the corner in the bin. And fortunately, the bin had a bag to catch everything,
Uh-huh.
because the bin itself had holes everywhere. And if you can imagine, that is not good when my bag is next to the bin. But luckily, everything was okay. He was very apologetic, and yeah, but hostel life, it's an experience to say the least.
And have you had any other strange or unusual experiences with other people in the dorms, or on the whole, has it all been pretty positive?
For 5 months backpacking this year, I think I got away with a lot. I think when I listen to other people's hostel stories, they they have some crazy stories about weird people in the hostel, creepy people, people taking things out of people's bags. But I'm lucky I came home with all my belongings. Nothing was damaged. I didn't hit anyone. I didn't. Everything is good. There's the worst bit is when people come back late and some things are going on in the hostel room, but that's a rare occasion. But also, just the worst thing for me is people shouting in the morning. Um, Usually English people. Unfortunately, I have to be the good Samaritan of the country and make a good example for the UK, because we've got a bad reputation abroad.
So single-handedly, you have to try and fix that reputation.
Yes, I'm like working overtime on public relations for the UK.
And this is something that I think you told me a while ago, that you don't drink because
No.
you just blamed alcohol on these problems that can happen in dorms. And to be honest, you're probably right. Alcohol is usually the reason why people will misbehave, or they'll be unaware that they're doing something inappropriate, like pissing on someone's suitcase, for
Mhm.
example. But in your case, being in these environments, backpacking in hostels, is it ever a bit difficult knowing that a lot of other people are drinking and you are stone cold sober?
It's actually quite nice sometimes, because the biggest benefit for me is waking up the next morning feeling fine when everyone else is hungover, sore, and their head is pounding and they can't wake up until the afternoon. And a good example was Thailand. I came home from a party at 4 a.m. I went straight to sleep. I woke up at 10 and I went scuba diving during the day. So if I had drunk that night during the party, I, they would not have let me scuba dive. So it all has benefits. But obviously, a lot of party hostels where people are drinking, playing drinking games, you have to work your way around it. Sometimes it feels like you can't bond as much with some people when, especially, their main bonding thing is over alcohol or drinks. But there's someone for everyone in the hostel to meet up with, and I've I met a good amount of people. So
Mhm. Right. And you've never had a drop of alcohol in your life, have you?
no, never had a sip.
Wow. And is that for any particular reason?
Not really. I think the only reason I had was when I was younger, I wasn't the best with trying new foods. There's like a fear of not liking food.
You're a
So
bit picky, a bit of a
yes,
fussy eater.
yes, and I think alcohol was part of that as well. Like I didn't want to try it because nowadays when I tell people I don't drink, they're like, oh, it's they ask why. I get asked why every single time I go to a hostel, and then a lot of people nowadays my age will tell me, oh, it's nothing special anyway. It's like, it doesn't even taste good or something. Whereas when you go to hostels, you meet 18, 19-year-olds and they go, oh, isn't it boring if you go out and don't drink? I'm like, and my response is, if you need to drink in order to have fun, you're the boring one. I throw it back to them.
No, no, I think it's a good response as well, because it is true that alcohol is the only drug where people almost worry if you don't take it,
Yeah.
which is bonkers. It's mental. And this has, at least in Western cultures, been so normalized that everybody kind of has to drink to socialize, and it's part of the culture, part of the history. But when you do stop, pause, and think about it for a second, like, wait, alcohol is a drug, just like many other drugs, where if you take drugs, usually people are concerned about your well being. Whereas alcohol is the exception, where people are concerned if you don't take it.
Mm.
So for me, more power to you. I don't know if I could do it myself, but it would be nice to never wake up with a hangover.
Yeah, I've never felt that feeling, so it does feel quite nice, but also it's very good for my travel budget. I like to think because a lot of people spend a big portion of their backpacking budget on drinking. I say the money that I save by not drinking, I can spend on activities or experiences that I would remember for a lifetime rather than a drunken night where you might wake up and not remember anything.
No, 100%. And I think for most people, what they spend a lot of money on at the weekend is going out and drinking. So if you don't spend your money on that, well, suddenly you're saving, I don't know, an extra 100 quid a week, which goes a long way. It starts to add up and pile up and compound in some ways.
Mm.
Lovely. All right, now let's focus on your personal experiences of solo traveling. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you were in Southeast Asia. You went to Australia, Indonesia, maybe, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Japan. Am I missing any?
There was 9 overall. I think Malaysia and Singapore was at the end, but that was time limited, so I didn't get to see everything in Malaysia. So one of those I'd happily return to all of these countries.
Okay, that's a good first indicator, a good first sign. So let's kind of do it in chronological order.
Mm.
Tell us, where did you go first, next, all the way to the last destination?
Okay, first I was in Australia for 4.5 weeks, basically the whole of February. Um, and that was from Sydney to Cairns. So that's 3,000 kilometers I did in 4.5 weeks by bus, which I think you're familiar with. The Greyhound bus, where there's no sleeping, it's just the chairs are upright, quite cramped,
Uh-huh.
but an experience that when you meet people along doing the same trip along the east coast of Australia, you're kind of in it together. Especially one of the bus rides was 17 hours sitting upright that everyone dreads, but you kind of bond over it.
I mean, with this area of Australia as well, it is kind of backpacker central.
Mm.
So usually people who go to Australia on a working holiday visa or on a tourist visa, they will do this to see all of the East Coast practically. And along this route, you've got the most amazing beaches, you've got rainforests, you've got these towns which are beautiful as well. And unlike a lot of beaches in Europe, for example, where in summer they're absolutely packed, they're crammed, they're full of people, in Australia, in the majority of them, because it's not a very populated country for how enormous it is, you can find random beaches where there's almost nobody else there, and you've got this pristine sand, these amazing waves. Of course, in the sea, you've got jellyfish and sharks that could kill you. So maybe that's why there aren't as many people. But just the nature, it's like jaw droppingly beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, Australia is one where you can go an endless amount of times. You do have to fly quite a distance to get there. But even if you lived there your whole life, you still cannot explore it all. There's still something, you'll still find areas that are untouched.
Exactly. And I'm a bit of a chicken. I'm a bit of a wimp. So I remember when I was traveling around Australia, I could have done some more adventurous things, such as bungee jumping, or skydiving, or scuba diving. And maybe because of the budget, but probably because I'm not very brave with a lot of these things, I didn't end up doing any of these things. Did you?
Yes, I will be up for anything. So skydiving is the main thing I did in Australia, because I've been waiting a long time to do it, because I was supposed to do it in New Zealand 2 years ago, but the weather caused delays and then eventually it was cancelled. So I thought to myself, I can do it in other places. And then the opportunity came in Australia to just jump out the plane. And I thought, if this is my one and only opportunity to do it, I'm going to ask to go first so I don't have to watch people. And also, can I do a backflip?
Oh, I mean, I'm lost for words. I'm speechless because it's sending shivers down my spine. This sounds amazing, but horrible at the same time.
No, it was great because you can't remember the first few seconds. I had to go back and watch the video again to see if I actually did a backflip because I couldn't remember. Then I realized during the picture when the earth is above me and the clouds are below me, then I realized I'm upside down. Uh, but then we landed on the beach, and also the instructor gave me the parachute to control, so it felt like I was playing Grand Theft Auto in real life, controlling the parachute where I was going. So I was just going left, right.
I mean, it sounds great, and I'm almost jealous, envious that I don't think I've got the balls to do it. Like, was there any moment when you were going up on this little plane where you were having second thoughts? Did you ever think about chickening out?
No, I never have second thoughts because, especially in that moment, you're on the plane and you're going up. And for me, I'm thinking the only way I'm going to go back down to the ground is if I'm jumping out the plane. So that's why I asked to go first, because when you're at the back and you're watching everyone go first, the anticipation just builds and you never know if it's a good feeling or even more nerves. So I thought, get it out the way, let me go first. But the worst feeling was um, being being first. We had to open the door, and then it was basically me strapped to the instructor leaning over the door to open it, and also the lights that are counted down. It's like you have the red light, then the yellow light goes when there's 1 minute left, and that was the longest minute I've ever felt. And then you open the door and you have to sit on the end of the plane when it's open, and yeah,
Like,
you
my
just pray
stomach
the.
is doing weird things at the moment. Like, even just from this brief story, I'm starting to think, like, oh, like, I almost want to throw up.
For me, although like the skydiving sounds stressful, but the people that I've met would prefer to do skydiving over bungee, and I've done both. So I did bungee jump first, which Well, after doing that, I realized I can do anything because that is terrifying but fun at the same time. Because the difference is you're with a professional when you're skydiving who will control the parachute. You just basically cross your arms or out like
And
this
pray.
and pray and enjoy. Bungee jump, you stand on the edge and you have to. It's very unnatural. You have to fling yourself off the bridge under your own free will, which isn't natural, and put all your faith that this rope around your legs will not snap.
Oh my God. Like, I wouldn't want to do either, but if I had to choose, I would 100% try and muster up the courage to go skydiving rather than bungee jumping, because I look at bungee jumping and it doesn't seem like it's worth it. Like, for all that fear and that moment of like overcoming your own nerves and fear, the reward doesn't seem like it's worth it. Because then you got a few seconds and then you're just like hanging, which would probably make me want to be sick anyway. And that's it. Whereas with skydiving, at least the kind of possibility of seeing all of like the land, the clouds, going down, having that feeling of flying, once you get past the nerves and the fear, I can imagine that it is worth it and it's like a once in a lifetime experience. But yeah, bungee jumping just doesn't appeal to me at all.
Yeah, that's the difference. I wouldn't say the same. Skydiving, you have time to take in the view and look at the surroundings and process where you are. Whereas bungee jump, it's over very quickly and you're kind of looking towards the ground. But in a sense, I'm happy I did bungee jump first because I can just go for it and then feel more confident afterwards.
Well, more power to you. Good for you. Now, let's move on from Australia because you did this backpacking up the East Coast. Then you went to lots of different places in Asia. So let's not do it in chronological order, but I want you to tell me the country that maybe surprised you or impressed you the most and why.
They're all different. So I have different reasons to enjoy all of them. Like, for example, Laos, being a landlocked country, not many people know. Although I had a week and a half there, I did a lot of fun activities. I had Vietnam, which is, I could talk about forever, and it's very backpacker friendly.
Hmm.
Then Japan's complete different society and culture. And then you've got the amazing islands of Indonesia and Thailand.
You're being very kind of staying on the fence here. It seems like
Yeah,
you don't want to
very
reveal.
political answer.
Yeah, yeah. It's training to be the next prime minister. Okay, in that case, I'm going to ask you the ones that I'm curious about the most. So, Vietnam, you said it's really good for backpackers. You could talk about it for ages. What did you like about Vietnam? What were the highlights there?
Ooh, what didn't I like is the question. Uh, I think in to summarize Vietnam, it's very easy to travel around. It's a very thin country. So you can start in the north or you can start in the south and the buses will just link the whole way up. So it's very easy to plan a journey and be with the same people along the way and
Hmm.
bump into others who you met in different places. It's very cheap. It's the only country on the trip that I didn't have to look at how much I was spending because although it was very popular for backpackers, the prices haven't changed. But
Okay.
one of the best experiences that I've had and also everyone else has in Vietnam is it's called the Ha Giang Loop, if you've heard of it. It's in the north of Vietnam near the border of China. You'd spend 4 days on the back of a motorbike and driving around the mountains and you take some very sketchy paths up hills and you're in a group and then at every evening you stop up at different locations to do fun things or rest and viewpoints and then at night you have you just get together with everyone in the whole tour which is about 50 people and you just have karaoke games and just socializing so it's just 4 days away from basically civilization in the mountains on the
Okay.
back of a bike, enjoying life.
You see, I associate Vietnam a lot more with beaches and little islands off the coast. Is it like that as well, or is it
It
more like these rocky, kind of hilly areas in the mountains?
it is, but depends where. In the south of Vietnam, you've got like a tropical island called Phu Quoc, and I didn't go there, but Vietnam was not much of a beachy island place. You've got some beach cities. For example, Hoi An has a beach. You've got Da Nang, which has a beach, but it's not known as a beach holiday. It's more of a adventure one. I'd say Thailand and Indonesia and Philippines will be your beach holidays.
Mhm. Okay, interesting. Because Vietnam at the moment is one of the options that we are weighing up for our honeymoon, which is in a year's time. But we're looking into different options. And from Asia, the options would be maybe Vietnam or maybe the Philippines. So if we're looking for beaches, you reckon the Philippines would be better?
It depends what you want to be doing on your honeymoon as well, because the Philippines has amazing beaches, but it also, because there's so many islands, you have to keep moving around. That's why I decided not to go to the Philippines yet, because I need more time to organize getting around the country. But if I would say, even though I haven't been to these places, a nice beach place that is easy to get around as well, Sri Lanka would be a great option. I know they've got great beaches and it's very friendly, and it's a small country, so it's easy to get around to different places to explore. But
Mhm. Okay. We can continue this conversation.
yeah,
Let's see what recommendations you have. Now, how about Japan? Because Japan stands out to me as a little bit of an exception when I think about all of the other countries you visited. Japan's a little bit different, and I see you're showing Charmander. What's going
yes,
on?
I have my Charmander. He stayed with me for the last month. I won this in the arcade, and then realized I still have to visit 3 more countries. So he came on a holiday with me. He's my
Okay.
backpacking buddy. But no, Japan was a nice break from the chaos of Southeast Asia, especially Vietnam, where you've got noise, motorbikes, people everywhere, to going to Japan, where it's a very populous country. There's people everywhere, but it's more chill, more organized. So you, after all the socializing as well, it's a nice break that you can go to Japan and kind of have a lot more me time to wander
Mhm.
around, go to a restaurant by yourself. It's a perfect country for introverts.
Okay. Because with Japan, for example, like I associate it with, of course, sushi, ramen. There's lots of like ancient culture as well. And of course, it is much more developed than these other countries. So I guess for that reason, maybe it's more relaxing, it's more chilled, and it feels maybe more like home. I'm not sure if you would agree with that or not. I've never been to Japan myself.
I agree with it. Felt like home, but not UK home. It felt like Korea home from when I lived there for years. So when I arrived back there, I was like, this feels like being home away from home again. And yeah, but the food is amazing. It's not too expensive to eat out. For backpackers, the food in Japan's not expensive. It's
Mhm.
just the accommodation and also the Shinkansen train, the bullet train. Amazing, but it is expensive.
Okay. And then with Japan, like I'm imagining the map right now, and of
Mm.
course it's quite a long country, and it changes a lot between the north and the south. And then at the south, you've got these islands as well. Like, did you focus on one area of the country, or did you try to visit as much as possible?
I tried to fit in as much as I could without rushing around too much. Uh, so I started in Hiroshima, which is kind of like the south, but then I went to Okayama, Osaka, Kyoto, Nagoya, Takayama, Mount Fuji, where it was cloudy and rainy, so I didn't get to see Fuji. And then finished in Tokyo, which you cannot complain about finishing in Tokyo. So I got to enjoy the different areas of Japan. So like the more developed and high tech Tokyo and Osaka, I got to see the ancient Kyoto, um, smaller mountain towns like Takayama, onsens as well. Just a good introduction to Japan.
Mhm. And with Japan as well, you mentioned Tokyo, which I believe is the biggest city in the world. I think it's the most populated city in the world at the moment, at least. Did it feel like that? Did it feel like it was just a huge metropolis that was never ending?
Yes, I didn't get to see the the view of the city, but I know it goes on forever. It's an endless, as you said, an endless metropolis. But being in some places in Tokyo where it's so busy and crowded, you do understand how busy it is. I don't tend to get lost in stations, but I can't remember if it's Shibuya, Shinjuku station. I got lost trying to find the exit. People everywhere.
I mean, it sounds stressful, but I mean, it is what it is. Whenever you go to one of these huge cities, you know that there's going to be people all over the place. You're going to be surrounded by people. And I guess you've just got to get used to it. And if you're traveling around for so long as well, I guess you have to continue getting used to different scenarios, different people. Like when I did my bit of backpacking for just a couple of months after being in Australia, we went through Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. And I remember that when I was in cities, it was when I got a little bit fed up of traveling. And it was kind of when I started to get a little bit homesick. However, when I was on islands or I was in the countryside, it was the opposite, where I was like, oh, this is beautiful. It's so zen. It's so relaxing. And these were the moments that I cherished the most. Did a similar thing happen to you where you enjoyed more the kind of rural trips and the islands compared to the cities?
Yeah, I think I had a good balance because um, Thailand is a good balance. It's a good example where you can go to Bangkok, you can go to Chiang Mai, but then you also got the islands. Australia, Australia's not too crowded anyway, so you've got a good balance going up the coast. But after Japan, I was ready for social life again and for the beach because, as I said, with Vietnam, it's not a beach country for me. So I think I felt as you felt like enjoying the more remote places once I got to Indonesia after Japan because I hadn't been to the beach since Thailand in March, and I was arriving in Indonesia at the end of May. So I was ready to get back on the beach, play volleyball, go swimming, surfing, all these kind of activities you don't get to do in the city.
And I was just thinking, whilst you were traveling, were you able to continue making videos and posting videos and keep your kind of consistency in terms of being a teacher on Instagram?
I did. I tried my best. I'm still overcoming a bit of a fear of being looked at in public when recording a video. I feel like maybe you have the same feeling where sometimes you record a video and then you don't know who's looking at you, but it's something with time it gets better, but I was able to keep recording videos as best as I could on the move, even though I had a very busy schedule, but you have to work what you're given.
Great. Now, I think you mentioned where before we started recording that during your trip, you got a little bit sick as well, which is every traveler's nightmare, thinking that maybe you'll need to cut short your trip due to being a little bit under the weather. So, where did this happen? And do you know why it happened?
There's two occasions where I felt sick. One in Thailand, but that was like 2 days, not only one day of being bedbound. But the main one was at the end of Laos, and then my whole time in Cambodia. It lasted for around a week, where I just couldn't leave the bed without needing to go to the bathroom. but I know it wasn't caused by food poisoning. I think because of the water that I was swimming in Laos, in the Blue Lagoons in Vang Vieng, jumping into the water and it goes through your nose and in your system, and it just
Mhm.
the bacteria caused, I guess, some issues with me. But it's always a story to tell. Not nice in the moment, but it's it's a story.
Did you consider throwing in the towel and saying, like, that's it, I'm going home?
Never. I'm stubborn. I knew there was no way I was working hard for 2 years to save money just for me to cut it short. So I sacrificed my Cambodia trip by just staying in bed the whole time. I can go back to Cambodia in the future. So I just wanted to feel fresh so that when I arrived in Vietnam, I was healthy again, full of life. And it kind of made the trip better because after being bedbound for a week, you're kind of ready to go back at things, and it feels like a fresh beginning again.
Mhm. Perfect. Well, good on you. Now, let's finish off with a bit of advice, perhaps, because there might be people watching this or listening and thinking, oh, I'd like to go backpacking and I'd like to stay in hostels, despite the story that I told at the beginning. Don't worry, it'll be fine. But obviously, it can be difficult to socialize and make friends and I don't know, connect with random strangers when you are traveling. So, do you have any advice for anyone who is thinking about doing this? What should they do if they are thinking about going solo traveling, but they want to have some kind of social connections with random people along the trip?
Yeah, I think the main thing is book hostels because they have events on, whether it's a party hostel or whether you're in a chill location. For example, the party hostel will have events on in the evening to meet new people, and it's great for when you arrive and check in the afternoon and the evening, where you know your first date, you've got everyone is going to be at the same place to talk to. But even in the chill hostels, I've had experiences where they've got nice open areas to sit down, talk. They've got yoga classes, bond like just quiet areas where you can bond with people without the need of alcohol or crazy events. But
Mhm.
also the main thing is, even if your hostel is quite quiet, the app that I booked my hostels on puts you in a group chat with everyone that is staying in the city. So you can just put in a message, oh, I've just arrived. Does anyone want to go and get food or go out for a drink or explore this place? And then often you get a good number of people who say, yeah, I'm down to do it. So let's meet up at this point. And
Mhm.
then from there, you just meet people, even if they're not staying at the same hostel.
Okay. So I guess the system of staying in hostels kind of facilitates the process for you and it tries to make it easier for people to be able to connect with others,
Yeah.
which I guess is one of the biggest advantages of staying in hostels. If you are looking to socialize, make new friends, then I think hostels are the best option, especially because you're going to be so close to them if you're in the same dorm. I mean, you've got to be really, really shy to not say hello to the person who is sleeping underneath you.
Exactly.
Now, are you getting itchy feet now you're back in the UK? You've been in the UK for a couple of months now. Have you got that travel bug nowadays?
I've always had the travel bug. I've been solo traveling since I turned 18, which was 2016. So I'm used to this. All my spare money goes on planning trips. I've always got something planned for the next year, but I've only got 2 weeks today until I go off again for round two. So um, even if I do have itchy feet, I've got more anticipation and excitement knowing that it's okay. This time in 2 weeks, I will just be in the air.
Okay, exciting. So tell everybody, where are you going and how long are you going for?
I am off to South America. So I'm flying to Salvador, Brazil, and then traveling around Brazil for around 8 weeks. I'm taking it nice and slow to enjoy places more, and you can extend your stay if you enjoy a place, which I didn't get to do in Asia because I had a tight schedule for that one. My sister is joining me in Rio de Janeiro
Okay,
for
cool.
2 weeks, and then I continue down Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. So I've got approximately 6 months planned.
Okay, wow. So how do you feel about it? Are you absolutely buzzing?
Yes, because I've been to Brazil before and it's my favorite country. So if you have any Brazilians watching this, yes, love you guys. Um, but I'm looking forward to it because it's more my culture compared to Asia. Being able to go to Brazil and there's football on the beach, volleyball, and barbecues. That that is my type of culture.
It sounds like you might end up just staying in Brazil for 6 months.
I would not complain about that, but I've got I've got my plan. I stick to my plan. I can go back to these places in the future.
Perfect. Well, on that note, I think we'll call it a day there. But if you are still watching and you've enjoyed this conversation related to travel, solo travel, backpacking, hostels, and Regan's personal experience, um, let us know if you've ever done it yourself. Have you ever stayed in a hostel? Have you ever been solo traveling? And also, if we have any Brazilians or other people from different countries in South America that Regan mentioned, well, I'm sure he wouldn't mind making friends as well. So leave us a comment and then you can maybe meet up with Regan whilst he's on his travels. Perfect, right?
Yes, friends, recommendations. I'll take the lot.
The more the merrier, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. So thank you, Regan, so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And, well, we'll see you next time.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Ciao, ciao.